Good morning, everyone. I'm super excited back in the car and to introduce to you today Amanda Perrone.
Hi, everybody.
Amanda specializes in returning women to their natural rhythms through a variety of energy medicine practices. I often think of her as like a priestess, but she is a million other things and full of so much wisdom. I'm really excited to share this drive with her and see what comes up for us.
Yes.
So, are you ready?
I'm ready.
You buckled in?
I'm buckled.
Okay.
I got my London fog.
I'm checking my blind spots. So, Amanda, so when she says that she returns women to their natural rhythms, really what she's talking about there is helping you get connected to your flow. She wants you to understand how the world works. Is this fair to say?
Yes, definitely.
And really how it's influenced by the moon, because Amanda is a moon magician.
Thank you. We all are, right?
Right.
It's this magic that we all have available to us. It's, you know, I've really come to believe it's the timekeeper. It's the way creation goes here on Earth. And its cycle mirrors to us what we need to be doing, what we need to be focusing on, what energy is available to us.
Right. And you have taught me that there are different energies available at different times, and that the signals of those energies are the phases of the moon. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay, good. So I learned that well. Self high five.
Good work.
So we're always in a moon phase, right?
We're always in a moon phase. We're always moving through the flow of the moon. Like, to me, really, that is the flow. When people are saying the flow, like getting into the flow, getting into the rhythm, to me that is being fluid with the cycle of the moon, being a cyclical being, right? And it just really applies to all of us. Like, in the past, it was often just focused on the women. Right? And even my work too is predominantly focused on women, because we do have our own unique cycle through our menstruation that mirrors that of the moon. And, you know, but for every inhabitant on Earth, like, you know, from the reptiles to the humans, the moon cycle energy, to the tides, right? Of course, the moon cycle energy is affecting all of us. It's pulling all of us. It's drawing stuff out of us.
I'm glad that you mentioned animals, because let me tell you something crazy. I don't know if I told you this. On the summer solstice, so that was June 21st.
Yes. About
6 weeks ago. Ellie is my daughter.
Yeah.
And she has a gerbil. And in the fall, I guess it was probably around the equinox. I wasn't paying attention though. Maybe it was the winter solstice. Anyway, I wasn't really paying attention to the gerbil because it's a gerbil. And she loves him, and Buddy's great, but like he doesn't need a lot of attention.
Yes.
But what he did do over the winter was he moved all of his bedding up into. He's got like his cage has these like little hidey holes and kind of like little tunnels and stuff. And so he has this tunnel that connects to an upper space where we normally put his food and where he can eat. But he pushed his food dish down the tunnel, and he shoved all his bedding up into that, and then he stayed in there. And we were like, oh, well, I guess he just wants to be snuggled and whatever. But then on summer solstice day, I came back from that event that I'd done with you, and it's an animal, right? And as when we bought it at the PetSmart, they said it was a male. So it's really interesting to me that you comment that it's not just women, it's also men and all animals, because on summer solstice day, he moved all his stuff back down into his cage.
So incredible. What
and I was like,
right?
Holy shit.
Yeah, nature, the greatest teacher.
They get it.
Oh, that's so cool. That's really cool. Right? And that actually speaks to even a bigger grand cycle of the seasons, because they also are tied to the moon cycle. Right? So him knowing and moving through that season of like burrowing and staying in and then coming out when the sun comes, like, come on, you can't, like I always say, you cannot make this shit up, right?
It was
you
crazy.
Can't make this shit up. They know, we know.
And it's time for us to consciously know.
Well, exactly, but we haven't been taught, right? This is where I get crazy passionate, because we have not been shown this whatsoever in any of our teachings. And this, back to the women, you know, especially for us, like, we've been pushed into like that linear society, that linear world, that A to B rather than the cyclical, and we have been forced to resist the cyclical nature. And do
you think some of that's shifting as we go from 3D consciousness
totally
to 5D?
Oh my God! It's like, look,
I mean, I don't
how
want
could
to
I
necessarily
exist
get
if it
into
wasn't
all
shifting,
that,
right? How could I exist? Like, how could I fill rooms or programs with women who are like dying to know?
For the wisdom.
Okay, wait a minute. You're right. Like, my period does come at new moon, and so does hers. And yes, when I lived with that clan of women at university, all of our cycles changed. And yes, right now, like we're in dark right now. We're just about to go dark.
So what does that mean? Can you take a minute to define that?
Yes. Okay, so let's just talk about like the three main phases.
Okay.
New, full, and dark. Okay, those are the three main phases. When you hear them represented in like the energy, it's Maiden, Mother, Crone. Okay, so new, full, dark, Maiden, Mother, Crone. So dark is associated with Crone, which is associated to like the later, more wise part of our life. Okay, and the dark period is when the moon, so for the moon, it's kind of like disappearing from our line of sight. The way the rotation is happening of the Earth and the moon, it goes out of, it's the dark side of the moon, right? We can't see it.
And what should we be doing in dark?
So we're doing the same thing. We're going in. So the moon is moving away from being visible. It's going in. And that's what we're doing. It's the time of rest. Like, so this is the time for me in my schedule. I try not to see clients over these 2-day periods. Like, I rest. This is fun for me, right? And then this afternoon, I'm chilling. Right. I rest. Right. I try to get in nature as much as I can, right? And I always liken it to, I believe everything begins in the dark. Like, that's what I've come to know through the moon cycle.
Say that again.
Everything begins in the dark.
Everything begins in the dark.
Everything begins in the dark. And so this is where we start. So I was saying it in my group this morning. So we start in the dark. So if you can imagine, you're having that feeling of wanting to go in right now, and it's not just a drop in. It's just like the moon, right? The moon moves 13 degrees every night, slow, steady, right? Slow and steady, and of course there's 13 cycles every year, right? Right. In the lunar calendar.
Right.
So it moves 13 degrees every night, and so you too are moving slowly into the energy. So we're moving slowly into the dark, right? And then we're going to be in that dark. So I was using percentages to explain it. So let's just say the moon's gone completely. We can't see it. It's at 0%, and there we are in the dark. And it's there when the new moon sparks, right? That the first light is coming back in. And so to me, I liken that to like the womb center, right? In the dark, the seed meets the egg, and that's where life is created. Our ideas, right? They start in our minds, in the dark, in here. And then that spark, that idea is the first light in the mind, right? So the same thing's like kind of applying in dark moon. We're in that darkness, we're waiting for the spark of light to come, which is the new moon on the 11th. Okay. So that's Saturday. Yeah, and so that's when we're going to start to peek back out. So that's like dark into new.
Quick question.
Yes.
Is the moon always in the same phase around the world? Because like I have people in Australia and India and like is it new moon for them on Saturday the 11th as well?
Yes. Time zones matter. So timing. So you can go, there's a website called oh my gosh. It's on my website.
I go to
datetime.com.
Yeah, that's where I use.
Okay. If on my website too, there's like, you can see the moon. It says click here to see what the moon phase is. But it just takes you there.
To. Okay,
yeah, it just takes you there anyway.
I wondered. I was like, ooh, how does she know?
Yeah, well, yeah. It just
the internet and satellites.
Well, you know what? And imagine I want to link up someday to that, and then just have the description of like what you're feeling. Yeah, to have it mirrored there. But anyway, yeah, you can go there for your time zone and see what the moon is in, like, and exactly what time it's turning new for you.
So that's helpful. So if you're watching and you want to know where you should be in the dark or in the new and the other phases that Amanda's going to start talking about, you can check out on her website, which is Rise with Amanda Perron.
RiseWithAmanda.com.
RiseWithAmanda.com. Rise, R-I-S-E, with Amanda.com.
Thank you.
Okay, so yeah. Okay, so we're in dark, and then when we go to new on Saturday, what's that about?
So that's where like that spark is being lit, right? You're not necessarily out there doing things yet, right? Because remember, you're slowly moving into the phase, so that 13%. And this is where the flow happens, right? This is where permission happens to like feel what you're feeling, right? If like you're feeling like doing a little bit of action, but still feeling tired, right? You decide for you what that feels like and what you want to do next. But you're going to feel like the support you have or the energetic pull is to start to come up. Like that's how I imagine it. So I imagine like kind of almost being buried in the dark, right? And then like a seed, and then
just going to say that.
Yeah, the seed starts in the soil. There's your other example of darkness, right? So you bury that seed in the soil. That I kind of imagine too, the seed is like the spark of light, right? Like that's how I see it. So it's like the dark always exists. And that seed that we plant, that's the first spark of light, and then we'll get that desire to start to poke our head out a little out of the soil, you know, and we'll move through the cycle then, and we'll start to move into action and start to move into the intention setting phase, and okay, what do I want for myself? Everything's new again.
So that's what new moon is about.
Yeah, everything's new again. Here we go. I'm refreshed. I've hopefully rested. I'm feeling a resurgence of energy. You know,
right?
All of that, and so you start to come out and act and see what it is that you want for yourself. See how it is that you want to feel, and then you're going to start to go do things that make you feel that way or don't, and that's where your edit comes in.
So, okay, so you said the 3 major phases were dark, new, and full, but you just talked about something called edit.
Yes, so edit is the in-betweens, is how I like to say it.
Okay.
So this is, again, how I've come to understand it. So to me, we have this new, and then we have a 2-week meaty period where a lot of stuff happens, right? And so I've come to see it as though in the first week of after we turn new, it's more of like thinking. Okay. We're just waking up. Stretching. I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. That might feel good. Oh, yeah. Right? So that's what's happening in that first week. What do I want? How do I want to feel? Then the next week, we're really now up, right? The 13 degrees has happened 7 days now. So we're really up now. And we're out there and we're doing things. And we're getting information. So I said, I want to feel like this. I went, let's say, I wanted to feel connected and in love. And then I went on a date. And I felt like this. Okay, maybe I need to not be looking outside of myself for connection right now. Maybe before I do that, I need to do whatever, right?
Right.
So this is it's also a very important part of the cycle, because this is where sometimes we destroy rather than edit. So this can be where you're like, can I swear?
I swear.
Okay. This would be where you're like, fuck it, I'm never dating again, I'm done, fuck this shit, blah, blah, blah. I give up on love, I'm out of here, right? But what you could actually do is just edit your intention, right? You don't have to go all the way there to destroying the idea of you ever finding a relationship.
So what you would do is take from that information, okay, I don't want someone who only talks about themselves.
Sure, exactly. Or maybe online dating's not for me. Maybe I really do need that personal connection, right? Maybe I haven't been honest about what I want for myself, and that's why I'm not attracting it.
And I think that's a key, right? In all energy work, am I honest about what I want? And the other part there, certainly what I've seen in my practice, there's a real struggle to be honest, because people don't know who they are.
Right.
And so how can you say, oh, for sure, I want a purple van, when you don't even know if you like a van, never mind the color purple.
Yes. Yes. Right? Know thyself, right?
Yes.
Yeah, know thyself. And I mean, it gives me comfort in some ways, because, you know, you and I talk so much about intention. Like, both of us believe strongly that intention is everything. It drives the ship, right?
Yes.
It's the coordinates.
I would tell you, if you haven't looked into intention, to look for the law of intention, because that is really the seed of how you create your life. Right.
So where this has given me great trust, though, because, you know, in my work and in my own life, is that even when we aren't honest, it still happens. Like, it still gets done for us, right? So I have,
like, what we need gets done for us?
Well, what we want. Like, so let's say you want that great love, okay? Let's say that's what you want for yourself, and a relationship ends, and you're sitting there saying, but I said I wanted this great love. Right. You also wanted out of that relationship. Right?
Right. So you have to get out of that relationship to have the great love. Right.
So I say to people all the time, like, yes, a lot of my work includes clarity, getting clear, because why not, right? Why not decide where you want to go and know yourself and come to appreciate all of your needs and desires and honor them instead of, you know. But, if you don't know, the good news is it's going to happen. It's going to get done for you anyway, because it can't not.
That's so can we touch on that for a minute? Because this is like, we're all up in your wheelhouse, but we're treading a little bit into my wheelhouse.
Yes, we are.
And what I love about working with Amanda is that our wheelhouses totally overlap.
Yeah.
And they're beautifully complementary. And Amanda and I have done a lot of work together because we love each other and what each other brings to the table. We're constantly learning from each other. Always. So when you talk about how it's going to happen anyway, I go back to that core belief that I have, that this life you're leading is what you planned when you were omniscient. It's what you planned when you were one with the divine. And even if it doesn't feel like I often say to myself, I wish I realized my human limitations when I carved out this life for me. Yeah. Right? Because often we feel overwhelmed by the amount of work we've brought to ourselves.
Yes.
But if we can allow for, if this is the first time you've come up against this notion that you create your life and that you picked it all before you got here, allow yourself to sit with that thought, because for sure it's going to make you uncomfortable, and explore it a bit. Because if you can get in bed with that idea and say, okay, that's a notion I want to trust,
right,
you will have so much of an easier time of believing that the universe has got your back, because you already fucking planned it.
And what if we can even get above it a little bit, and maybe, because I as you're saying that, I'm imagining what might be triggering, and I think sometimes the details might be triggering. Why would I plan to have this happen to me?
Right.
But get above it and know that you didn't plan to have that specific incarnation of the event happen to you. I don't know, you tell me. I think you planned to have whatever needed to happen to get you to wherever you needed to be. You agreed to that. I don't think you sat there and knew the specifics of what that might actually look like here. Do you know what I mean?
I do know what you mean, and I'm thinking about, do I agree with that or not?
Do we have the
sure?
Yeah, do we have the capability of reason and thought to plan out, this event's going to happen?
For sure, we plan out the big things. For sure.
Loss. Loss is what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, I'm thinking about when my brother died.
Yeah.
And in that time, I was like, I did not fucking pick this. It was a nightmare. In my parents' lives, there's no way they would have picked this. Except we did. Because the law of karma requires that we mete out our obligations to one another.
Did you pick the experience, or did you pick the vibrations the experience brought, say grief or whatever loss brings with it? I don't know, maybe we're getting too far down the hole.
Well, I was just going to say, I think we're talking about semantical differences.
Yeah. Which we often always come to, don't we?
We do.
Right?
Because the brain wants to, the human wants to make everything complex.
Yeah.
But really, it's very simple.
Yeah, because I'm imagining being up there and writing a book of this is what's going to happen, and describing, Yeah.
But that's what the Akashic Records are.
Right. Yeah.
Right. They are the blueprints of all the plans that you've made.
Blueprint. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, amazing. So that's
amazing,
edit.
Right? Amazing.
So that's edit phase.
Okay, so then let's tie back in there. So the edit is so that you're not destroying what you've created. You're just editing it. That's it. You're
right. So you can say, this part doesn't work for me.
This part doesn't work for me. I thought this was going to make me feel that way. Now that I've done it, now that I've taken action, that's the job as the human, right? Get out there, take the action, and then get the information.
Yeah.
And then shift
I love
direction.
That your job is to collect data and then make new decisions.
It, right?
Yes.
Use it. And then, so then from there we'll move into full. And that's where we utilize the energy to release the things that don't make us feel what we said we wanted, right? So again, let's just keep going with that example of the dating, right? Okay, so then when we're at full moon, what are we going to be releasing? So we learned in the edit some things about ourselves that might be blocking us from feeling how we want to feel. So we're going to release any feelings associated with taking part in those things, because that's where shame starts to come up.
So let's give a little example of that, so we're not just speaking in broad terms. Let's
so
say you felt like the person wasn't paying attention to you. Do you want to release anywhere that you don't feel like you're worthy of attention?
Perfect. Thank you. Yes. Yep, worthy of attention. And then maybe any guilt or shame that gets associated with putting yourself back in a similar situation.
Because you're right, shame is huge.
Yeah, it's the vibrations really that we're getting rid of.
Right.
We talk about it in examples to help us understand, but underneath it, or above it, right, it's the vibration, right?
All around it.
It's the vibration that you're actually getting rid of. And I see in a lot of my release ceremonies, it's always, not always, but often, a lot of guilt and shame associated with even allowing a situation to continue, keep putting yourself back in the same situations, even though without being say you weren't honest with yourself and you ended up back there. Right. So then that's how you stay back there, is by being mad at yourself and feeling guilty about it. So it's full. We let that stuff go. Right? We again get above. I know I keep saying that, but it's in my work right now all the time. We don't make it personal, right? We look at how creation works. We know that it's necessary to remove the blocks, to Plinko, right? You want the flow to be open. You got to move the pegs out of the way.
Yeah.
So we do that, and we open up, right? And we let go, and we make space. And I want to talk about the positive part of letting go. Like, I mean, that's a positive, being able to make space, right? But also, some of the letting go that happens in full is like, you know, releasing a child. It's like the most joyous occasion, right? Like a lot of women go into birth.
You mean like labor?
Yeah, a lot of women go into labor. Releasing, say, that program you've been waiting to release, right? Say, for example, whatever. Your wisdom, releasing your wisdom. You want to be like out there in that phase.
Really what I think you're driving to is letting go of the control. And right, exactly. Getting back to flow and following the rhythm. Yeah. It's beautiful.
Yeah. And then it just continues from there. It's never ending. You know, then we move back into dark again. We have that 2-week period again. Same story applies. You let go of the things that are standing in your way. The last week is for really looking at that information, making any last minute tweaks or edits that you need to make to your releasing. Same thing as like intending.
Okay.
Flip side, right?
Right.
And then you move back into dark. And we begin again.
And everything is new again.
And everything is new again. It's just a phase. It's just a phase.
And it will pass.
And it will pass. It always does.
I love that saying from, what was the movie called? The Butterfly. There's some Magnolia Hotel. The Magnolia Hotel. And the quote is, everything will be okay in the end. And if it's not okay, then it's not the end. Right?
That's so good.
I posted that in a meme the night that Doug Ford got elected. Friends, thanks for being with us. I hope you loved Amanda Perrone. I wanted to show you something here.
Oh my gosh. Do you want me to hold it?
Amanda, well, it might be easier, less accidenty. Amanda is launching a program called Moon Masters in September. What's the date?
September 7th it starts.
September 7th it starts.
And it's live today, so let me
her website is live. I'm going to let her tell you about it, but I just want you to know she's amazing, and if you do anything with her, you should. Okay, so tell us about Moon Masters.
Okay, so yes, Moon Masters. Let me just give a shout out to my amazing photographer, Angela Durante-Ducat.
Angela's amazing.
Took this photo for me recently and has opened up an amazing pathway to becoming the Moon Master, you know, and teaching Moon Master. So it's an in-depth, deep dive program. What I did was I pulled
into what we were just talking about.
Yeah, I pulled all the teachings. You know, like when I do different workshops where I spend 2 hours talking about new moon and how to utilize it, and same with full and all of that. So I've distilled all of that information and put it into one program, and it feels fucking awesome. Because, you know, talking about release, the feeling you get, like it got dropped yesterday, and I haven't even like really shared it anywhere yet because it got dropped and it's there, and that's awesome.
I was really glad to be.
It's cool, right? Yes, I showed
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yes.
You're welcome. And the sense of relief I felt of it just being out, right? This is like
somebody
the positive.
Else made the decision.
Yeah. This is like the positive part of releasing and letting go, right? Feels really good. Feels really good. Yeah.
So you want to join this program because she's going to go into depth, and she's going to do like group coaching around these themes: the new moon, the dark moon, the edit, the full moon. I know I didn't put them in the right order.
No, that's perfect. No, that's exactly right. So we're going to do five live teachings, and then I'm going to do new moon and full moon ceremony in there too.
Okay.
You know, and you know what? I'm going to do a bonus of, you know, how I taught at Women's Circle how to do ceremony.
Yes.
And like why we do ceremony and why we create space. So I'm going to make a bonus video too.
So you definitely want to get in, because that will only be available in her September offering. If it's a bonus.
And that's all I'm doing in September, just for the record.
Friends.
My baby.
So Amanda, how can they connect with that? What's your web address again?
So www.risewithamanda.com. Moon Masters is the name of the course.
Okay. And the other thing that I wanted to make sure people know is that Amanda does a lot of free stuff, much like me, and you can connect with her in her Facebook group, which is Rise with Amanda Perrone.
The group is actually just Rise.
Did you change it?
No.
It's just Rise.
The business page is Rise with Amanda.
All right.
And then the free group is Rise, R-I-S-E.
But you do have to ask to join it.
Yes.
So when you're on Facebook, type in Rise in all caps, and it will come up, and ask to join it. And I hope to see you there. Amanda, this has been lovely.
Thank you.
I feel like we need to sing something, but I don't know. Oh, Okay, so there's a song that I always associate with Amanda, and it's not like a fun party song, which is surprising because I love to party with Amanda.
True story.
But what I sing all the time in my Phase In program, not all the time, but when we need it, is Be Here Now, Be Here Now. And I sing it again. Be here now, be here now. Thank you for being here.
Mwah. Mwah. Thank you
Much
so
love.
much.
Have a tremendous day. Yay. Bye, everybody.
Bye.